Everybody can grab a piece of cake now, kids. We've got some cake for you. Well, you know, I wanted to share a couple thoughts. We got back from Chile in '06, and so that's why this year is kind of like a 10-year. For some of you, it's 11, 12 years. But for us, this is kind of our 10 years since we got home from our mission. And that means we're halfway to the 20 años, hoy en 20 años y para siempre jamás. You remember that when we were called by Elder Faust, he said that he would measure our success as mission president and companion. He would measure that not by the baptisms that we had, but rather by where our missionaries are in 20 years. And that thought, I know it wasn't unique, I know it was a thought he shared with many mission presidents, but that thought just struck me and really hit me deep. And so I kept thinking, even before we went to Chile, I kept thinking, I want these missionaries to have a conversion, to feel the strength of the church. I want it to go so deeply into their bones that they won't just be good missionaries, but that they will continue to be strong. Hoy en 20 años y para siempre jamás. And so I'm thinking, you know, we're about halfway now to that 20-year mark. And I'm really proud of you. I got back from Chile in '06. Got to go back to Chile in '07 when I had the chance to go with one of the BYU performing groups. But since then, I haven't really been back to Chile. Debbie and I would love to go. Maybe one day we'll be able to have a reunion down there. Who knows? But I know I'm keeping my eye on that Concepcion temple as they start the construction on that. And I think it'd be a wonderful dream for all of us to be able to go back. But the interesting thing to me is how that mission has bonded us. I teach a mission prep class at BYU right now, and I have 200 students in the class. And they've been called all over the world. Every week I say, who received a mission call? And then I have all these hands. And they are going everywhere. One young man just said he was called to India, and I've got a girl that just got called to Seattle, Russian speaking. Seattle, Russian speaking. Another kid got called to Toronto, Canada, Mandarin speaking. Another girl just got called to Australia, Mandarin speaking. I mean, it's just been incredible to watch their calls. But every week I kind of keep my fingers crossed and hope that somebody's going to be called to Chile. And I finally had a few of them called to Chile. One's going to Santiago North, and one's going to Concepcion South, I think. And so I told them that they were almost good looking enough to be called to Santiago East. Because I keep waiting for somebody in my class to be called to the East Mission. But I tell you, that place is really near and dear to all of our hearts. The current mission president who's down there, he taught Institute in Southern California. And I knew him when he was a teenager. I knew him, he lived in Utah County, and I was in some things with him clear back when he was a young teenager. And so we stayed in touch through the years, and then he wrote me and he said, you'll never guess where I just got called as mission president. And then he told me the East Mission, and we both just started crying. So the current mission president down there is somebody that I know, and I told him, I said, every time you speak in a state conference, you better say hello from Presidente Wilcox. And I know Landon and Whitney, are they still here? Whitney and Landon, he told me that his dad was there, and his dad's name is Wilcox. Well, but everybody in Chile called him Presidente Wilcox. Because they got so used to saying Presidente Wilcox, that poor Elder Wilcox, he was just Presidente Wilcox. And he said he finally gave up trying to correct him, and he just spent the whole 3 years being Presidente Wilcox. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have those memories of Chile, and wonderful to have all those times that we I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of you. I look around with all these little families and I see all these little kids, and it just makes me very proud of you for moving forward in your lives, moving forward with faith, and for staying strong. You know as well as I do that it'd be really easy for a lot of people to slip away. I had a Mom, do you know where my briefcase is? I left it somewhere over there by the door. Is it over there? Yeah. Bring that up here, Elder. By the way, it's not Tim Rice, it's Tyler Rice. I don't know any of your first names, but I said Tim Rice. I think Tim Rice is the guy that writes music with Elton John. This was in the newspaper, and it made me think of you because it said, leaving religion. And it talked about how those of my generation, 59% say that religion is very important, but only 41% of your generation say that religion is important. In my generation, 38% still attend weekly religious services. In your generation, 27% still attend religious ceremonies once a week. Praying at least once a day. In my generation, it's 61% that say they pray daily. In your generation, it's 42%. It says a belief in heaven. 74% of my generation believe in heaven. 67% of your generation believe in heaven. Now, there's good news in the article because it says that for the LDS Church, the study shows the retention rate of young people is 64% compared to 45% in mainline Protestants, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, who have the lowest retention rate of 34%. So among Christians, we're doing pretty well with 64%, but it still scares me because I don't want to lose any of you. And I know that what's going to keep you strong is what's happening this weekend. General Conference. I want you to always stay close to those brethren. And as you stay close to the brethren, you'll be staying close to me. I had one of the missionaries write me and say he has outgrown the church. He says he's outgrown the church. I wrote him back with all the love that I could write, but I told him that no, this is not something we outgrow. This is not a phase that we go through in our life. This is not Boy Scouts that we were in for a couple of years and then we leave. This is something that you've got to cling to. And I just want to testify to you that as you keep your testimonies strong, as you stay close to God, as you remember that this is the church where you'll find complete truth. There's nothing you could ever study in depth that will lead you away from the church. I don't care what controversial subjects come up. As you study it in depth, it will bring you closer to the church, because this is a church that has complete truth. I just want to testify to you that those who walk away from the church, they don't walk away from their conscience, they don't even walk away from the influence of the Spirit, but they do walk away from the gift of the Holy Ghost. That awesome opportunity that we have to have the Spirit with us always, and to be able to keep that Spirit and that extra endowment of the Spirit with us always. Don't take priesthood authority for granted, because in the end, that's what matters, and that's what's eternal. And there are lots of people who can be spiritual without being religious, or so they claim. But as you say goodbye to this church, you say goodbye to the priesthood authority that gives all things purpose and makes all things lasting. And I just don't ever want you to let go of that eternal perspective. That perspective that I couldn't live without. I just couldn't live without it. You're old enough now to realize that you've had lots of trials. You realize there's not one person in this room who hasn't gone through trials. Trials that we never would have dreamed of 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago. We never would have dreamed of the things that we would have faced. But we face those things with the perspective that comes with the gospel. And it comes with the plan of salvation. And I can't imagine facing life without that. And finally, don't you ever give up on those apostles and prophets. Because they're alive, our faith is alive. Because they're alive, our testimonies are alive. And I just don't ever want you to lose track of that. Now I know that some of the decisions they make are not popular on Facebook. I know that. I know that our little social networking culture can give a thumbs down really quickly to some of the things that we care about deeply. But we're never wrong as we stand with those prophets and as we stand with those apostles. And so I just want to tell you I'm proud of you. Proud of you for the choices that you're making that have led you here tonight. Proud of you for the choices that you're making that are keeping you strong in the church. And I want to promise you that come what may, we will be here. Armand Wilcox and I are not going anywhere. We are not going to outgrow the church. We will be here, and we will be here strong forever after. When I first arrived in Chile, you'll remember that I was the 5th mission president in less than a year. Now some of you don't remember that because you came later, but some of you were there and lived through 5 mission presidents. Now I was the 5th mission president, and if you'll remember, on the day I stood up in the chapel to speak to you, and there weren't as many kids then, but the day I stood up in that chapel to speak to you, I said, I am not leaving. I said, I don't care what happens, I am not leaving you. You will end your missions with me. And I made you that promise. And I think 10 years later, I'll make you the same promise. I am not leaving. I will be here. And I will be every general conference. I will be at the feet of those men that we sustain as prophets, seers, and revelators. And I will be grateful that you are with me. You know, when we, in the temple, we're reminded that a lot of people think you can buy anything in this world for money. But Adam and Eve did not sell their signs and tokens for money. They did not do that. And Peter said, I commend you for your integrity. And that's what I want to say to you tonight. I commend you for your integrity. I commend you for making promises years ago when you went on your mission. And I commend you for striving to keep those promises now alive and real in your life and pass all that we are and all that we have to this next generation. All these little kids, by our next reunion, they'll be getting the priesthood and they'll all be beehives for peace sake. It's just remarkable to see you, to see your families, to see the good you're doing. As you touch base with me on Facebook, as you send me things by email, I just love hearing about the good you're doing and the wonderful choices you're making. And I just want to commend you for your integrity. And I'm grateful that you have made the choice and you've decided that there are some things in this world that are more important than money. And there are some things in this world that are more important than what's popular or not popular. It comes and goes. I'm getting old enough to have seen it all. Back in the 70s, you remember, it was all about zero population. It was all about, oh, how dare you Mormons. And people left the church because Mormons were having big families and they shouldn't do that because it would be a drain on our resources. And it was all about that. And then I don't know if you remember that then later it was all about blacks in the priesthood in the 70s. It was all about that. People leaving the church and teams saying they wouldn't play BYU because blacks in the priesthood. And then in the 90s, it was the Hoffman letters. Do you remember that? It was Mark Hoffman's forgeries. And he came up with a salamander letter that said that Joseph Smith received a visitation from a talking salamander. And I had people in my ward who left the church over that. Come to find out it was a forgery, and Mark Hoffman is still sitting over there in the penitentiary, right over there. Yeah, because it was all fake. It was fake. And so, no matter what the current issue is, whatever everybody gets all uptight about, just cling to your covenants and be true to the promises you've made, and just know that you won't be alone. Because as you stay true, you will always be with us, because we will stay true. And I just want to leave my testimony with you that those times, those moments that we shared in Chile, those interviews, those zone conferences, those baptisms, we thought we were changing Chile. And I guess we maybe did a little something. But all along, God was changing us. All along, He was shaping us. And He was preparing you to teach your most important investigators. And those are these little tigers that are running around. And running around out in the halls. I just leave you with my testimony that you're not alone and that you will belong to us. I read something on the internet the other day that said that that's not a good thing to say anymore, because you're not supposed to feel like you belong to somebody. You should be independent, and wives shouldn't feel like they belong to their husbands, and children shouldn't feel like they belong to their dads and that nobody owns them. And I mean, yeah, they go on and on and on, but dang it, we need to belong. We need to belong. We need to belong to God our Father. We need to belong to the church. And we need to belong to each other. And I just want all of you to know that I love you and that you belong to me. God gave you to me. He gave you to me. I tell those little missionaries that are going out all over the world, I say, somewhere there's a mission president out there, and you're going to be bonded to him the rest of your lives. I mean, I don't even see you. I don't even see you all the time. And yet the minute I see you here, I just feel this connection that just never stops. It's a connection that is literally made in heaven. And you belong to me. And I'm sorry, spouses, you belong to me too. And all these kids belong to me too. They all are mine. And I leave you with my love. And I leave you with my testimony, and I am so grateful for those that put this together tonight so that we could be together. You know, Debbie and I have purposely not had reunions regularly because we didn't want people to feel like they had to come from Amarillo, Texas, just to come to a reunion. But tonight I look around and I'm just so grateful. So grateful that so many of you have traveled. So grateful that you came and spent this evening with us. Please don't leave until we get a chance to give you a hug. And those of you who aren't here with us, if you're hearing me, please know that you may not be here physically, but our hearts are with you. We're grateful that you've tuned in, and I hope you've seen some of your good friends. Whitney said to me the other day, in my mission in Spain, she said, I never knew anybody because this mission was so big that I only got to know a few missionaries. Our mission was so stinking small that we knew everybody. We knew way too much about everybody. And it was just awesome to have those kind of connections that have lasted 10 years. They will last 20 years, and they will last para siempre jamás. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, thanks for